humility, Sebastian tells him that a commoner like him shouldn't be in possession of a creature so special. Arthur questions to confirm if he didn't mishear just now. With a sinister smile, the evil mage confirms that the beast will soon be under her control. This makes the boy's blood boil with anger as he shoots him a murderous look, challenging the mage to utter those words again. Let's revisit what happened before this went down. Vincent was slightly disappointed that he couldn't get the boy anything he liked. Arthur was searching for a good sword as his only requirement, which makes the auction house owner wonder if they can find something in the storage. His thought is disrupted by the king, who is glad to have acquired the A-class beast core from their collection. As long as the beast's will is intact, he's in good hands. Vincent is glad that he was able to please the king with his measly little event. Their conversation takes a sudden dark turn as Vincent detects a bloodlust so powerful that it brings him to his knees. This causes the royal knights to spring into action, alerted by the presence of a threat. With an urgency to act, the king brings out his sword and demands the attacker to reveal themselves at once. We then catch the royal mage Sebastian collapsed on the floor, afraid of Arthur's wrath. Vincent still doesn't understand what happened, and the entire auction house is in chaos. The knights haven't found anything suspicious after searching the rooms. Arthur's father wants them to search upstairs, and after a while, both the royal family and Arthur's family are sat in silence. Telepathically communicating with his familiar, he checks on Sylvie's condition. The knights express that they've just captured an intruder just now. The king's normal reaction sends Arthur into shivers. He's glad that an intruder did fuck up the whole scene, proving to be the perfect distraction from Arthur's personal fiasco. As for Sebastian, they make a mockery of the royal mage for getting his panties in a twist after seeing a level 1 intruder. Bro has to make an excuse saying that he slipped, and he gives our boy a good look before turning away. The auction house resumes its function, and the final item of the night is finally about to be presented. The veil is lifted, revealing an infant world lion, striking the guests in amazement. This mana beast is special for its nurtured treatment, allowing it the potential of becoming an A-class beast in the future. Arthur's a little pissed that the mage doesn't give a damn about any other mana beasts except Sylvie. The host starts the enormous opening bid at 500 gold coins. People raise 550, 600, all the way up to even 800. Until finally the king steps up with 1,000 gold coins to offer, double the price of the opening bid. Of course, the guests surrender their bids knowing they can't compete with the wealth of the king. Vincent congratulates him and asks about his plans regarding the new pet. After all, it does require a legendary beast tamer to be brought up properly. Instead of raising the pet himself, the king wants Curtis to take care of the special beast. Curtis rises to the occasion, hoping to do the very best for his father. Her mother teases the kid, which invites a generous thought from Arthur, who thinks that even the royal family behaves like any normal family would. Vincent claims the end of the auction and wonders how the king would like his items. The king isn't planning to wait and intends to grab his prized possessions with the man. Vincent wants to lead him the way, when suddenly the royal mage makes a sudden request, whispering in his master's ear. After that, he shoots a sharp glare at our boy, which means the dipshit is planning something again. Vincent escorts them to the room where the king's items are kept. He also uses this opportunity to allow Arthur a chance to grab a good sword. Intrigued by the boy's interest in a sword, the king wonders if he's planning to take sword lessons. Since Curtis is also interested, he wants the two of them to have a sparring session someday. However, Sebastian is against the idea and mocks the kid for being nothing more than a commoner. Arthur pays respect to the king's generous offer and acts humble in front of the family. The boy's father comes into the picture, startled to find the king there as well. The king learns that he's the one who captured the intruder and commends Captain Lewin for his work. The king also learns that Arthur is Reynolds' son. He presents Sebastian as a royal guard who has done the king's family many favors throughout the years. And this time, he's seeking a reward, particularly in the boy's familiar. This announcement shakes Arthur to the core, knowing where this conversation is headed. The king declares that giving up Arthur's beast would be a service done for the welfare of the kingdom. This is bad news, and Reynolds can immediately see it on his son's face. He tries to intervene on the boy's behalf. The king is prepared to compensate them thoroughly and is even prepared to hire a personal mage to sever the contract between the two. Reynolds apologizes in his resignation. He claims that his son has his own decisions to make, and he doesn't intervene on the boy's behalf. Father of the Year award goes to Reynolds Lewin. Anyway, the king now turns to the boy, who has eyes filled with frustration. Sebastian tries to start a fire, but his master stops him. He greets the child and presents the same offer to the kid. Maintaining his calm, Arthur does his best to respond adequately to the King of Sapin. While thanking the king, he refuses in kind, claiming that he could never give up his familiar for even the most brilliant sword. Pet Owner of the Year award goes to this kid. The mage tries to butt in and is immediately slammed shut by the king. He even pitches the rare world lion cub in exchange for Sylvie, which prompts an annoyed reaction by Curtis. Once more, Arthur refuses, apologizing for being unclear just now. He's adamant about his decision to keep Sylvie, no matter what. Hearing this, the king is now peeved. He has been kind in his approach in requesting a favor, and yet the boy is yet to budge. The king asks once again, this time warning Arthur of his thin patience. Controlling his anger, Arthur asks a counter-question to the king of Sapin. Boldly and shockingly, he asks for a price on the king's children. Then, he follows up by reasoning that even though he's declined 3 times, the king's pride refuses to budge. That's why he's asking such an important question. He wants to know how much money would be worth to exchange even one of his children. The atmosphere turns tense and silent. Sebastian gestures to the knight to act immediately. The royal knight furiously advances to cut down the boy who insulted the royal family. Sensing mana concentrated inside the blade, Arthur realizes the knight is going for a kill. Remaining calm with his own mana, he evades both strikes and throws the knight off balance. Then he grabs the knight's fist and releases every single ounce of his momentum into an uppercut. This knocks the knight out instantly, gaining shock from even the royal mage who ordered to kill him. Sebastian is done playing around and decides to act on his own, ready to accept any punishment. He knows that Sylvie's potential with Arthur actually triumphs that of an A-class beast, which is why he's so greedy and stubborn about the bond. Sebastian prepares a beam strike to vaporize Arthur as his family swoops in. All of a sudden, something happens as time stops, freezing the spectators around them. Confused, the mage finds himself perplexed where his charged attack went. One boy's voice echoes and gains his attention. He deems Sebastian's efforts meaningless. After all, each spell that requires ambient mana won't work against him. He shoots Sebastian a resolute glare and instantly appears next to his body. The royal mage's overconfidence has been used against him. One move is enough to break Sebastian's leg, causing him to wail in agony. He begs for someone to come and help him, failing to understand why everyone has frozen still. Arthur's voice and embrace is the only loudness he feels and hears. The boy offers a bone-chilling announcement, reminding him that no one will come to help him. Traumatized to the bone, the pathetic mage begs to be spared as the royal conjurer. Arthur simply gets up and confirms his statement. He only says 3 words, reminding the mage to know his place like the dog he is. Let's go back to the uppercut from a moment ago. As you can expect, even the king was shocked to find a commoner child overwhelming a trained royal guard. So much so that he wonders if his own guard made a mistake. Seconds after, Arthur's body is seen collapsed in a different location on the ground, causing Lilia to panic. What's even more brutal is when she and the others come to notice Sebastian's twisted leg. The man's face is bawling with tears and sweat, with a frightened cry for help. Even the king is terrified to see him in this state, while the queen orders the guards to check Sebastian's vitals at once. A while later, Reynolds checks on his son's unconscious body. The boy's mother is worried sick. She does her best to use her healing magic, but eventually gives up, realizing that nothing can be done. Vincent's family weeps alongside him, seeing the boy's loss. Arthur's fading consciousness is brought back into reality a while later. He finds himself on a bed with a ringing headache, wondering how he got back here. He remembers painfully torturing Sebastian using static void, but it messed with his brain. It's only thanks to Sylvia that he was able to use the ability. Thanks to that, he could momentarily disconnect himself from the string of time. It's a godly ability that only he has possession of due to being a legacy tamer. At the same time, it comes at a cost. He's done years of training until now, and still can't use the ability for more than a few seconds without enduring the painful backlash. He went over the time limit and suffered great consequences. This was also his first experience using it on another person, adding to his list of troubles. He rests on the bed, grateful that the worst was just him falling unconscious. The door opens with Sylvie curious as heck to see her master. The boy's mother is shocked to find him awake at last. She endearingly hugs him and found herself at calm after hearing the doctor's verdict. It's been 8 hours and he woke up much later than expected. The boy is disappointed, making his mother cry again. He experiences a sharp ache, startling his mother. Instead of addressing it, Arthur asks what followed after he passed out. It turns out that the king's family left early. They sent a representative of the king to discuss matters with the boy's father. Arthur is curious and wants to go see what's up. He tells his mother that he's doing splendidly okay and that he wants her to get some rest instead. He also orders Sylvie to stay with her. Arthur is managing his way downstairs, hearing Reynolds' speech about how his son was nearly killed. The boy interrupts their talk, causing his father to come rushing to his aid. He reveals that the representative of the king is here to spend a few gold coins on them for the small incident they caused. You can tell Reynolds gives very little fucks about royalty and places his family first. The king's representative greets the boy as Jasper Cogwright. He shows him a pouch of gold coins. In this situation, Arthur thinks it's best to act like a victim who was wronged. He greets the man with respect and learns from Jasper that both guards who tried attacking the boy were suspended at once. Reynolds is still frustrated that the king thinks this will undo the unjustified treatment. Jasper and Reynolds are in a strong conflict with one another, so Arthur decides to be the one to resolve things. He admits that he acted out of line and claims that he's not hurt, so there's no need to escalate things anymore. Acting guilty, the boy inquires about the royal mage who had his knee twisted to the bone. It turns out that even Sebastian didn't escape the king's wrath and was suspended from his rank. Arthur curiously asks if they were able to figure out what happened to his leg. To that, the representative mentions that they learned from the mage that the boy inflicted him such an injury. Reynolds finds himself in utter disbelief and lashes out. Jasper expresses that they didn't believe in him and simply suspected the knight who concentrated mana and interfered with the mage's spell. It sounds confusing, but it's the ideal situation Arthur was looking for. With the conclusion of the meeting, Jasper leaves the family with the pouch of gold. Reynolds doesn't want anything to do with it and lets his son handle the coins. After all, it's his life that was put on the line earlier. Arthur appreciates his father's generosity and goes to sleep. Before leaving, he praises the boy for his splendid uppercut. How can this man win 2 Father of the Year awards in one story? Amazing. Arthur places the coin bag in a drawer and finds himself relieved that the situation died down before any commotion. It reminded him of his great limitations as a child just observing the world. However, he's looking forward to great things once he becomes an adventurer. Arthur inspects the voice-altering mask that he acquired and thinks that he can attain some liberty now. Sharing a table with his friends at a bar, Reynolds asks for an opinion on his offer. Crazy hair redhead doesn't really like the fact that he's got to babysit Arthur, and with his shitty personality, he's certain that Arthur might just kill him. Everyone agrees with his own opinion, causing Arthur to smile. Reynolds expresses that he was originally expecting Durden or Helen to help take care of his son. As humble parents, they are ready to reward them for the trouble. Durden assures his friend that they're all family and would be willing to help out with Arthur's development. Even Helen agrees with the idea, and they're not looking for any money in return, especially since they acquired enough from their last raid. One more person raises their hand to volunteer, catching everyone by surprise. This person happens to be Jasmine, who usually despises escort missions. It's really surprising that she's okay with joining, reasoning that it's Arthur. Helen argues that Jasmine is the most fitting person to take care of the boy. Durden's area of expertise is AoE-focused spells with larger groups, so he won't be much help. As for herself, she isn't the best at defense or protection. The boy's mother questions if Jasmine is truly okay with the idea, and she responds with a thumbs up like it's no big deal. The redhead agrees that they should allow Jasmine to shine as she's the only augmenter among them possessing an elemental affinity. She's the best candidate to protect a guy like him. Durden agrees, even though he wanted to personally accompany the boy, but reasons that it doesn't fit for him to go. Reynolds comforts him and tells him to look forward to next time, while Arthur feels safe journeying with Jasmine. Fast-forwarding to the boy's family visiting Vincent's place. Lilia is seen practicing meditation according to Arthur's teachings, instead of relying on him completely. Arthur believes that even Ellie should be capable of awakening at age 7 or more if she can meditate. But he's also hoping that she doesn't awaken too soon, or else there will be too much attention. Excited, the boy requests his father to visit the auction house, since he's been meaning to pick out a sword. Arthur's mother decides to cook dinner while they're away. At the auction house, Vincent and his wife were already busy with work when they found the duo entering inside. It was Arthur's first encounter with them after the incident, so obviously they had a list of questions to ask him. The boy played it calmly, assuring them that he was in top-tier condition. However, they seemed very upset about the king's way of handling things. Vincent is hoping for the worst to happen to the guards who jumped in and caused trouble. Even Reynolds shares the same sentiment. Arthur decides to change topics and focuses on getting a new sword before his application test. Vincent is delighted to show him the way, and he invites the boy to look around plentifully to see what he likes. Arthur scouts the storage room, filled with hundreds of spaces with artifacts all around. It's kind of like an adventurer's heaven dreamland. The boy can't contain his excitement at first. But only seconds later, his excitement is reduced to sheer disappointment. He's tried so many different types of swords, but nothing comes natural to him. He tosses away another sword and observes that it's probably due to the rise of augmenters in this world. There's so many dual-handed swords or larger weapons that just don't fit the boy's size. All his efforts to search for a capable weapon were in vain. The boy fiddled around and found Batman's batarangs. What a cameo. He also tried channeling his inner Bruce Lee with those nunchucks, only to feel stupider by the end. Strangely, Sylvie is interested in something as she's searching around. She manages to drag out a scabbard, excited for him to try this blade. Arthur is pleasantly surprised because he wasn't really expecting a stick to be his weapon. He places his hand on the so-called stick, only to become shocked at how heavy it is. Then it hits him. The weapon he's holding isn't a stick, but rather a sword. Arthur tries unsheathing it, but it doesn't work, which makes him wonder if it requires mana to realize its effects. He tries pulling that off, but that doesn't work either. Testing his theory even more, he tried to cast electricity, wondering if it reacted to an elemental affinity. In the end, a mere stick sword got the best of him as he couldn't learn how to use it. Arthur has hit a wall for answers until he suddenly spots the band on his arm. He decides to entrust his new theory and picks up the blade again. Activating his powers, the boy manages to unlock the weapon at last. The sword appears a mystical teal, catching the boy's undivided attention and gaze. He could find himself swinging the weapon beautifully all around, to the point he couldn't even consider the blade a tool of war. However, even he understands that the weapon is too heavy for him to use fully in his current state. Apologizing to Vincent, the boy takes a shot by cutting a barrel clean. This proves that the sword has both the cutting power and the right size for him to use. Arthur takes a closer look at the blade and finds a bunch of letters inscribed on it. The words read Dawn's Ballad, which is as confusing as it sounds. Suddenly, the boy experiences a jolt of electricity, wounding his hand. He assures his